Let's begin our story in the middle of the big town in a major city. People are going to work, studying for exams, and are lost in their thoughts and daily lives. Right here, a nuclear weapon is detonated and time freezes. The first phase of the explosion happens within less than a second. In a millisecond, a ball of plasma hotter than the sun appears and grows in a fireball to more than 2 kilometers across. Within this ball, everyone is just gone. Think of water dripped on a very hot pan, a sizzle, and then there's nothing. Most buildings, cars, trees, tiny sculptures, and people all evaporated. First, the flash, an intense tsunami of wave flashes over the city in an instant. If you happen to have your head pointed in the direction of the explosion, it renders you blind for a few hours. The heat of this light produces a thermal pulse so energetic and hot that it just burns everything as far as 13 kilometers from the detonation site. What this means is that everything in an instance or area of 500 square kilometer that is able to burn starts burning. Let it be plastic, wood, fabric, hair, and skin. If you happen to be in reach of the thermal pulse, one moment you're on your way to work, and the next moment you're on fire. Now the second phase begins. Most people will now first notice that something is wrong, but it's already too late for hundreds of thousands. The flash is followed by the shockwave. The heat and radiation of the fireball create a bubble of superheated and super compressed air around it, and now it's expanding explosively. Faster than air, it creates wind stronger than hurricanes and tornadoes. Human infrastructure is no match for its power. Most major buildings within a kilometer of the fireball are just ground up down to the base. Only steel reinforced concrete is able to partially resist the pressure. In the surrounding parks, where reptiles feed the ducks, black trees blacken and smoldering from the heat a second before snap like toothpicks. If you are outside, you get tossed away like a grain of dust in a tornado. The shockwave weakens as it travels outwards, but still about 175 square kilometers of houses collapse like they're made of cards, trapping tens and thousands of people who didn't have any time to react. Gas stations explode and fire spread throughout the rumble. A mushroom cloud made from the remains of the fireball, dust, and ash rises kilometers into the sky in the next few minutes and casts a dark shadow over the ruined city. This violently pushes in fresh air out of it and pulls in new air, destroying more buildings and creating more oxygen. It depends on the city what happens next. If there's enough fuel, fires may turn into a firestorm that burns the rumble, everybody trapped in it, and people trying to flee from the devastation. Up to 12 kilometers from the explosion, people are just like you, rushing to the windows to take pictures of the mushroom cloud, unaware of the shockwave is still coming at them, about to shatter the windows and create a blizzard of sharp glass. Then the first phase 3 begins. In the coming hours and the next day, we are used to the idea that help will come, no matter the disaster. This time is different. A nuclear explosion is like every natural disaster at once. There are hundreds of thousands of or millions of people with serious injuries, laceration, broken bones, or serious burns. In the next few minutes and hours, thousands more will die because of these injuries. Countless people are trapped in the collapsed buildings like in earthquakes or blinded by the flash, deaf from the blast wave and are unable to flee through the streets impassable with rumble and debris. They are terrified, confused, and don't know what's happening to them or why. Most likely, many hospitals have been leveled along with all other buildings, and most medical professionals are either dead or injured, along with everyone else. The survivors, lucky enough to have been in metro tunnels or standing in the right place to be unburned or unhurt, won't have truly escaped harm yet. Depending on the type of the weapon, where it explodes, and even the weather, an awful black rain can begin, with radioactive ash and dust descending on the city, covering everything and everyone. The invisible, malicious, silent horror of the radiation takes its turn. Every breath carries poison to the lungs of the survivors. Over the coming days, people who receive the highest doses of radiation exposure will die. There will be no help, not for hours or maybe even days. Civilization doesn't operate when there's total breakdown of infrastructure. Roads are blocked, train tracks wrapped, runways cluttered with rumbles, no water, no electricity, no communication, no stores to replace supplies from. Help from the surrounding cities will have a hard time entering the disaster zone, and even if they can, the radioactive containment will make it risky to get even closer. After a nuclear attack, you are on your own. So, bit by bit, people emerge from the rumble on food, contaminated with radioactive fallout, carrying what little they may have left. They are in slow, in pain, traumatized, and they all need food, water, and medical treatment fast. And the damage done by the nuclear weapon doesn't end when the fires burn out and smoke clears. The hospitals in nearby cities are under-equipped for a disaster of this scale and overwhelming with tens or hundreds or thousands of patients with serious injuries. In the weeks, months, and years to come,